career reinvention. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? Like a fresh start professionally.
It really does. A chance to reset.
But actually doing it,
Yeah.
that leap, it can feel
Well,
pretty overwhelming, like staring into the unknown.
yeah, the practical side can be daunting.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try and chart a course looking at some real-world experience.
Sounds good.
We've got this story, this article, 10 career reinvention lessons from a Navy cryptologist turned sales leader turned educator.
That's quite a title. Navy Cryptologist to Educator.
Right. The path itself is pretty intriguing. From the Navy to sales, now education, it just screams diverse perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just there's got to be some interesting takeaways there.
Exactly. So our mission today is really to dig into that, find the core principles, see what connections made those transitions work.
And pull out something useful for you, the listener.
Yeah, distill it down into a kind of roadmap for your own growth, maybe your own reinventions.
Mm-hmm. Not a literal map, but principles.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Great. Where do we start?
Lesson 1, unlikely beginnings. So this person started out as a Navy cryptologist. Back in '92, hand-delivering messages sometimes.
Wow. Hand delivering. That really dates it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pre-email dominance.
Totally. Feels like another world. But what skills do you think you'd get from that, even back then, before all the tech we have now?
Well, cryptography itself, even low-tech versions, demands incredible attention to detail. Accuracy is paramount.
Right. Can't make mistakes.
Exactly. So responsibility, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Handling sensitive info, working under pressure that builds resilience, and delivering by hand. Reliability, navigating tricky situations. Valuable stuff.
Makes sense. And the story gets even more varied. They lived on a Coast Guard base near San Francisco, taught English in Korea for a year.
Okay, so quite the mix early on.
Yeah. How do those kinds of experiences, seemingly unrelated, feed into adaptability later?
Well, what's fascinating here is how these diverse experiences probably built this really broad foundation. Adaptability, resilience, just being exposed to different cultures, different kinds of people, even teaching English that requires clear communication, breaking down complexity. Those aren't skills from a single training course,
Yeah.
They're built through experience.
Super powerful when you face a career change later.
Definitely.
So for you listening, what does this mean? It's like, don't discount those experiences you've had that don't seem directly relevant right now.
That's a really key insight. That part-time job, volunteering,
Yeah.
look at the core skills you picked up. Those unlikely beginnings often lay crucial groundwork.
Okay, let's move to lesson 2, openness and learning. So after the Navy, they moved to Milwaukee, start college, aiming to be a teacher.
Okay, a clear goal there.
But interestingly, while doing that, they're also delivering pizzas and becoming a peer trainer for tech stuff at the college.
Ah, so learning wasn't just confined to the classroom.
Exactly. Seems like they were always grabbing opportunities to learn new things.
And that just highlights this mindset, doesn't it? Continuous learning, seeking growth, whatever role you're in.
Even delivering pizzas.
Well, yeah. Probably honed time management, customer service, right? And the tech training shows tech aptitude, teaching skills.
Good point. Not direct steps to teaching, maybe, but still adding skills.
There were opportunities. It really challenges that idea that learning only happens formally.
Yeah, it does.
So this raises an important question for you listening. Are you actively seeking those learning moments in your current job? Even if it's not your dream job.
Are you volunteering for stuff, taking online courses, just being curious?
Exactly. Are you grabbing those chances?
Which kind of leads us right into lesson 3, calculated risk-taking.
Okay.
Here's where it gets really interesting. So it's 1998. They decide to leave college.
Drop out.
Yeah, drop out to take a tech support job, which then turns into selling early high-speed internet.
Whoa. Wow, that's a big move. Leaving college for tech support
Yeah.
and early internet. That was still pretty new territory back then.
For sure. Definitely a risk. The article calls it calculated, though.
Right, the calculated part is key. Yeah. The internet wasn't a sure bet in '98. Selling high-speed access. There was skepticism.
So it wasn't just jumping blind.
No. If we connect this to the bigger picture, sometimes the biggest leaps mean stepping off the standard path. But calculated suggests they did some homework.
Weighed the pros and cons.
Yeah, evaluated the potential, trusted their ability to learn fast in a changing field. It's strategic risk, not just recklessness.
Gotcha. Okay, lesson 4, showing up and adding value. So by 2000, they'd moved into being a stockbroker.
Another shift.
And get this, they were also teaching clients how to use the online trading platform.
Ah, adding value beyond the basic job description again.
Seems like it. Then, after 9/11, another pivot into IT.
Okay, and the progression there was fast.
Yeah, apparently really rapid, ended up as a VP in IT within just a few years.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. What fuels that kind of climb?
Well, the lesson drawn is show up fully, be ready to learn, always look for ways to add value.
That totally tracks. Going beyond just the trades as a broker, teaching the tech, that shows initiative, leadership potential.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving into IT after a major event like 9/11 suggests, like spotting needs, being ready to gain new expertise quickly.
And the VP role means they must have kept exceeding expectations.
Consistently delivering, making an impact.
So consider this for your own situation. Are you fully present? Are you actively looking for ways to contribute beyond just your job description?
Spotting problems and suggesting solutions. It's that proactive mindset. It gets noticed. It creates opportunity.
Right. Okay, lesson 5, stepping up in leadership. So they finished their computer science degree eventually.
Went back to it. Good.
Yeah, and moved into a leadership role. But here's the relatable bit. Their manager leaves unexpectedly.
Oh, okay. Sink or swim time.
Pretty much. They get offered the chance to lead the team, even though they admit they didn't feel fully ready.
That feeling is so common, isn't it?
Yeah.
That imposter syndrome when a big new challenge lands on your plate. But what's fascinating here is this idea that sometimes stepping up is what makes you ready.
You learn by doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't wait for 100% confidence. They took the chance, were willing to learn to, quote, figure it out.
Which is such a key part of leadership, right? Not always having the answers, but being willing to find them.
Having the courage to lead through uncertainty.
Sometimes you just gotta say yes and trust you'll adapt.
Right. There's a big difference between being ready and being willing.
Uh-huh.
That willingness often counts for more.
Okay, lesson 6, sharing expertise. Around 2005, they start a blog, sharing lessons learned.
Putting their knowledge out there.
Yeah. And later, co-authors another blog, The Slacker Manager, about employee engagement and leadership.
That's a significant step, building a public profile.
How important is that, do you think? Sharing knowledge publicly.
Hugely important. It does a few things. 1, it forces you to clarify your own thinking. 2, it positions you as someone knowledgeable.
Builds credibility.
Exactly. And it can open doors you don't expect, collaborations, connections. Like co-authoring that blog, it probably expanded their network and influence.
So, for you listening, think about your own knowledge. Where could you start sharing?
Doesn't have to be a big public blog.
Right. Mentoring someone.
Yeah.
Internal company wiki. Just offering insights in meetings.
Yeah, even small acts of sharing build confidence, connect you with people, and might spark new possibilities.
Okay, lesson 7 is a big one. Self-belief and reinvention. So 2010 comes around. They decide to leave the corporate VP job.
Wow, leave that security.
Yep, to become a consultant. And apparently some people doubted that move.
I can imagine. Going solo after climbing the ladder.
But they did it. Printed business cards, started networking, landed consulting gigs. It sounds like sheer willpower.
It really highlights that essential internal drive, doesn't it? Reinvention takes guts.
Definitely.
And this raises that important question for you. How strong is your own belief in your ability to adapt, to create value in a new space?
When you're going into something new.
That self-belief is often your anchor. It gets you through the tough spots, the uncertainty.
It's that voice saying, I can figure this out, even when others aren't sure.
Precisely. That internal conviction is the foundation.
All right, lesson 8, clarity of offer. This comes from an experience at a Silicon Valley software company.
Okay.
They were leading social media strategy, but the product strategy kept changing underneath them. Made sales really hard.
Yeah, shifting sands. Hard to sell something that keeps morphing.
Right. And they contrast that with working on a more established product later where the market position was clear.
Much easier when everyone knows what it is and who it's for.
So what's the takeaway for personal career reinvention here?
It really boils down to clearly defining what you offer, whether it's a product or your skills and expertise.
Your personal brand, almost?
Kind of. If your message about what you do and who you help is fuzzy or always changing, it's hard for people, potential employers, clients, collaborators to get it.
You need a clear value proposition for yourself.
Exactly. What do you bring to the table? Can you articulate that clearly? That clarity is crucial for navigating transitions effectively.
Makes total sense. Okay, lesson 9, tenacity and simplicity in teaching. Fast forward to 2015, they're back doing speaking and training.
Okay.
Teaching salespeople how to use social media for business. But back then, there was skepticism.
Oh, yeah, I remember that time. Is this LinkedIn thing really useful for sales? that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So they had to be persistent, really explain the value over and over.
That highlights a vital skill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just for trainers, but for anyone introducing something new.
Like what?
Patience, persistence, and crucially, making complex ideas simple.
Breaking it down.
Yeah, repeating the message, using clear examples, addressing the doubts head on.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about your own work life. When do you need to teach new ideas?
To colleagues, maybe clients, your network, that ability to communicate clearly, persuasively, especially when facing resistance, that's invaluable.
Really is. Okay, last one, lesson 10, flexibility and hustle.
The final stretch.
So the author talks about joining Bamboo HR in 2022, moving to Ohio for it, then leaving that role,
Okay, more changes.
and then working as a substitute teacher for a while.
Substitute teaching. Wow.
It really just hammers home how unpredictable careers can be, right?
It really does. This lesson just screams adaptability
Yeah.
and resourcefulness.
Flexibility.
Yeah. Life throws curveballs. Career paths aren't straight lines. Sometimes you got to be willing to take roles that aren't the perfect next step.
But they keep you moving, pay the bills, offer new learning.
Exactly. Keep you moving forward while you figure out the longer game. That willingness to hustle, to stay flexible, that's how you navigate the unexpected turns.
So this last lesson, it really speaks to that reality. Things don't always go to plan. How prepared are you, listening right now, to be flexible, to persist when stuff gets messy?
Yeah, it's about that resilient mindset. Seeing setbacks as temporary, maybe even as detours to something different, maybe even better.
So wrapping this up, we've walked through these 10 lessons from this really varied, kind of amazing career path.
Maybe cryptologist, sales leader, educator, with lots in between.
Right. And these principles, embracing unlikely starts, always learning, calculated risks, adding value, stepping up, sharing knowledge, self-belief, clarity, tenacity in teaching, and finally, flexibility and hustle.
It creates a really powerful framework, doesn't it, for thinking about your own career.
Yeah, not as a rigid plan, but as adaptable ideas. And it's cool is seeing how the skills transferred, those seemingly random experiences, they built on each other.
Shows the value of transferable skills, diverse experiences. It's not wasted time.
Definitely not. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. Reflecting on these 10 lessons, what's one unlikely beginning or maybe a calculated risk from your own past
Interesting.
that you now see in a new light after this conversation? And thinking about that, what new possibilities might that open up for your future?
That's a great question to ponder.
Lots to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today, and we hope these insights help you navigate your own career journey.